Welcome back to the Berg Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. With me today is Dan.
Hey, everybody.
And Ford.
Hey, how's it going?
And here we are, episode 250, celebrating the 250-year anniversary of our nation's independence.
Made for TV or
made
podcast.
We aligned it perfectly.
this is.
And
We thought about this 5 years ago or 4 years ago when we started.
when we
to make sure it lined
started,
up.
we worked the numbers backwards. We started posting exactly on time so that we could get this 250th episode in for the 250th anniversary. So,
And I think I'm the only one in the room that was alive the last time anything happened. Right? Like I was 2 in the
at the
bicentennial.
inception,
I was not alive then. I would look good for 250 something. But so I was alive during the
you got some
bicentennial.
biblical birthdays happening here, my
Yeah,
guy.
but 200, I was 2.
You were okay.
I was on the planet. I don't know where you two were.
Yeah, probably was a twinkle in my dad's eye.
Yeah,
Well, the funny part is when you're talking about the 250 thing, it's so weird because like there's stuff going on in the U.S. for 250, like FIFA thing, right? You know?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's like the funny part is, I mean, they brought it here this year to tie to things, but it's soccer. It's not like, I mean, but it's funny. Like I've seen golf tees that have 250 on. Like some people are leaning into this like
It's
hard
everywhere.
Yeah.
that it's just like, wow. Like if you missed it, if you had to live under a rock because it is like everywhere.
I wonder like how much 250 stock is going to be like 90% off in like 2 weeks, right?
Well, you're not gonna, there's no second use of it.
Right, because it's if you don't have it now, like you're handing it out as Christmas gifts, stuff like that. It starts to be a little less meaningful, I think.
Yeah, I have a shirt I bought that literally has like little fireworks and symbols and all this stuff on it, and it has a 250 thing, and I'm like,
nice.
all right, that's got like a one-day wear situation. Like there is no real like.
You can wear it.
You should have just stuck with the
on
stars and the
Saturday.
stripes.
Yeah, it made more
would've been
sense.
fine.
Yep. Hey.
Yeah.
Are you doing something like 250 themed? Is that why?
Absolutely not. It was like it had a logo on it besides that I liked, so that's why I bought it. But I was just like, but it's cracking me up that like
Nice.
just how many people are leaning so hard into the
250.
it's like
I know.
again, like every other holiday, it happens every year, same time, same date.
Well,
Yeah, it's definitely a milestone, right?
Yeah.
But it's also funny because there's so many places that have been around so much longer. Like they're like 250.
We're babies.
These guys are babies, but but by the same token, we are who we are. You know what I mean? Like you call it what you want, but it's hard to come up with a country that's stronger than us.
Yeah, or more patriotic,
or more patriotic,
in a lot of
or more
ways,
influential, or more more everything.
Sure.
So we're a lot, much like the area we live in here.
I think the
in
rest of the
Southeast
world
PA.
feels the same way. Like,
They
we're
do.
A lot. We're a lot to deal with.
Listen. They may even think we're like a teenager. They may look. Maybe that helps them.
Maybe that helps them explain it.
I don't think we're going to be a much better adult. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't.
We'll see.
Depends on some voting days and how that changes. But
Yeah.
no, I literally saw an article, I think it was Wall Street Journal, and said that like all the tourists that are coming over, they are just so amazed at cities are cities. They have cities too.
Yeah, sure.
But the suburbs is where they just are so blown away by, I can imagine, you're coming from another country. We see the big, huge houses in like England, but you go to the main line or you come outside of Philadelphia and you see like this it's not like 3 of them, it's roads of them, and they're just they're just the largeness of things was just they didn't quite whatever they get shown over there of like the big fat Americans and the sloppiness, whatever they show in their cartoons, they didn't get to see it in real life this time.
I've seen a lot of stuff that like paints that like especially coming from Europeans who have never traveled to the United States, and they're actually like a lot of them have been very impressed with the facilities, with the infrastructure, with the travel, with the safety.
But it's not what it looks like.
It's not the picture that's been painted in many ways about, I mean, I think that there's no hiding that we're still American.
Yeah, we still fit our caricature.
Right. But a lot of people have been impressed and like, it's not the picture that they anticipated seeing when they showed up, which is kind of interesting, because
that's cool.
Like we definitely have a reputation, and
it precedes us.
It's painted with a broad brush, so everywhere in every circumstances is assumed to be that way.
And the World Cup thing has been neat. Like obviously it never mattered to me ever before because soccer was the furthest thing from my mind. But with the girls They play a lot,
You
but
found a way to work it in.
right.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, have you seen like the Scots when they were in Boston and then they were in Miami and they like drank two cities just drank them out of beer. There was no Sam Adams. There was no Sam Adams left supposedly in the bars in Boston. Like they had to replenish. They outran it, and then they went to Miami, did the same thing, and it's been funny to watch the interaction of those crowds. Which it's also amazing to me how much they travel. Mm-hmm. Like, do we do that? Like, I know we do it for the Olympics, but maybe it's just that we don't do it for soccer.
Well, most things are based here too, so it doesn't.
Well,
I mean, like you think about how many people travel around the country to go to sporting events. A lot.
That's
like,
a lot.
You know, like the Eagle fans, they travel.
I guess that's true. When the Eagles play in London, it's probably half the stadium, but it's just one game.
I think when there's the NFL games somewhere, other places, I think there is a draw. I think Americans.
I'm going to go there anyway, so I might as well kill two birds with one stone type deal.
Yeah. So.
But I would say the other part that was interesting, I was watching a little golf on Sunday, and the Travelers Championship was up in like Connecticut or something.
Yeah.
And the Norwegian guy.
The Norwegian guys for Hovland.
Hovland was like kind of neat because like those fans would probably not normally be there, but because they're already here.
That is
like,
Mara's least favorite soccer player you've just mentioned. Yes, on her least favorite team, Norway. She can't stand Norway.
Which one?
Norway.
Norway. No, yeah. No, Hovland's the
golfer.
The golfer.
Yeah,
well,
but,
it might be
so the Norwegians there were a bunch of
you.
Norwegian fans.
He was like fighting against
tournament.
Scheffler, and usually it's a Scheffler crowd, but because there was a bunch of people in Norwegian.
He's also the strike. There's the
must be a
striker
common name or
must
something.
Be a common name. He's the striker for
Did I say
Norway.
it right? Maybe it's not Hovland.
Victor Hovland, I think I was.
right?
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
It might be one of those like Smiths or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's no V in the soccer.
Yeah.
He has a man bun. Mara's not into it at all.
I've seen that guy.
Yeah, Mara's not into it.
He's huge, right?
He is huge. He would be. He's a prototypical tight end for Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick could get him on a pro team.
Him and George Kittle hang out.
Oh man, they'd have a great time.
Yeah.
Throwing like Tony Gonzalez, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I do like the Norwegian thing though, like the rowing thing. That's pretty fun.
It's unique.
It's kind of
It's
cool.
distinct.
Yeah.
So
then you just get the whole stadium doing that.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, I mean, it kind of beats the weight, but that's just saying. But that's, it's like, oh, great, here we go again. All right, here we go again. But no, my other thing with 4th of July that cracks me up so much is like people like to celebrate it. It's like a 2-week window too, especially related to fireworks.
Yeah.
Having small children, loud noises late at night are not usually an optimum perspective.
Yeah.
And you realize how many people buy fireworks, and they aren't really that like targeted to July 4th. It's pretty much a 2-week window, and if there's a good night and they're having a good time, they're going to light some fireworks.
Do you need me to get the girls used to it? I have access to lots of fireworks. I could just come every day on the way home. I could just swing by, set one off. When we were coming back from Florida, I wanted to buy it so bad, but I have decades of
going down south to get
decades of witnessing other people, definitely not myself, setting off fireworks were definitely not legal in New Jersey on the 4th of July. And there was one that was called the HOA violation. It was 250 shots in one light and run. I wanted to get it, but I just...
that's one of those, as you set it off at your neighbors.
Yeah,
back to your
thought
house.
better of it. I was like, we cannot. They're definitely... I would be missing work extra if I set that off in Ocean City. But Ocean City Ford, they actually had a problem last week. Some morons set the dunes on fire with fireworks. So now they're preemptively upset about the fireworks. So it's going to be it's questionable what's going to happen on the 4th of July. How much you're going to get away with, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not what happened last year, I assure you that.
Yeah.
Well, it's so dry too.
It is very dry right now.
It's a tinderbox, and like nobody cares. They're just going to do their front
They're
yard.
gonna do their
and,
thing. Yep.
Yeah.
And they poorly aim them.
I mean, can you imagine if you're working in an ER? Like, this has got to be one of
how
those
many
days where you
days?
just like circle on your calendar, like, hopefully I can get that day off. Not because any other reasons. I just don't want to be working.
I'll tell you what I'll do. We can have a continuation the next podcast we do, or I'll let it be a couple down the line. Let the time run, and I'll check with Mia. So my cousin's ER.
Like how much of a spike
how
is
much
there?
of a spike did you see as a result of the fireworks?
Yeah, I saw something funny. It was like, some people, this might be their last weekend spent with all 10 fingers kind of thing, Yeah, and it's like, oh man.
The other thing I really enjoy about the 4th of July that's like not related to it, but how many empty business buildings all of a sudden become businesses because of the firework thing, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, I was driving up to Ephrata and like you pull up through and there's like an old cycle shop that used to be like a Honda dealership.
Yeah.
Now it's a fireworks shop. I'm sure it's not a
Oh,
long term.
Is it really?
Yeah. They went from the white tents out in front of like the gas station to
they
actually
have
in
their
the,
own, sort of like the Halloween thing.
Yes,
the
they show it for a week.
Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, Spirit Halloween.
My question is like, where do they store all this stuff for the rest of the year? You know, because it has a very limited target basis to go for.
I don't know. I mean,
you can set off fireworks anytime for it.
It's
can,
probably all the
but-
same companies though. There's probably like, you know, ever seen those like big like the big Keystone fireworks buildings
Yeah.
when you're driving down the on the highway or
They're probably just farming out their supply out
yeah,
of the
that's what I'm
warehouse
guessing.
and
They
put
just
it back in.
once a year instead of tents for 2 weeks. And,
Yeah.
I know that there was a guy, a friend of ours kid that worked at one of them. But it was literally like production for 11 months for basically one window to.
Well, hold on. I
execute
feel like I do got to stop us here because this is supposed to be the 4th of July episode, not just explosive devices or incendiary devices. I mean, I want to support as much incendiary devices as I possibly can. But
the little tents though, sorry, I can't get off of it for a second.
Brian's not done yet.
Yeah, because the little tents always kind of confuse me because like I feel like the people working in those little tents sometimes are just living there.
Yes.
They do have motorhomes nearby.
Yes.
Well, like there's one in New Holland, and there's a tent in outside.
like a
of it.
tent
like,
behind
like
the
an
tent.
actual like a camping tent. At
Okay.
The fireworks tent, and I'm like, this is odd.
It's very specific people that usually work in those
While we
facilities.
stay on the tent idea, I also do like. Did you see? There's always a sign on that says "No setting off fireworks within 500 feet of the tent."
Yes.
So, but I know those rockets can go a little bit further if you aim them just right. I mean, I know what they're trying to avoid.
It's good strategy.
Yeah.
It'd be a heck of a show, though.
It's like we want to test the product out here. Like, come on now.
Anyways, all right, no more fireworks.
No more fireworks. I mean, you know, because it's 4th of July, but it's Independence Day.
Independence
right?
Day.
I mean, it's celebration of us saying we wanted to try and do it different than anybody had ever done it before.
Yeah.
And so far, it's been a long road now, 250, but it's had its ups and downs, a lot of different twists and turns that people wouldn't have expected, you know. But it is like a thing that we. Every year, I feel like we talk about it, and right, it's hamburgers and hot dogs and a barbecue and the beach or the lake or wherever, mountains, wherever you go, and spending time with family. But at the core of it is celebrating that we decided to do it different than anybody else wanted to do it.
Yeah.
The part that actually strikes me most interesting, like if you start looking back at it, is the fact that like the Constitution, right? I mean, details don't matter as far as how many people were in the room writing it or whatever, but like they wrote a document that has basically, with very minor changes, held for 250 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's been challenged
crazy.
in a lot of ways, right? And you think about the way our legal system is trying to like
Fight it and change it and tweak it.
Yeah.
Throw your party affiliation out. Both sides are always trying to manipulate it. Like, I don't want to say attack it because people would take the wrong way.
Sure.
But they're trying to use it to the best of their advantage of what they would like to see happen in their belief systems.
And interpret it, right?
And interpret it,
like any other piece of literature or document, like it was written, during a time for a people. And so like
by certain people.
Yeah, and trying
but
to
I mean,
interpret that.
imagine the amount of time, like, we just thinking about like our core values, how much time it took us to like come up with those as a team.
Yeah.
But imagine that group of people trying to think through all of these things in that.
Without chat? Oh my God.
You mean a list didn't auto-populate and they just said yes to 8 of the top 12?
We're starting a new country and we'd like some advice on some rules that we should establish.
I feel like Brian is probably going to do this later. It's going to be an exercise. Brian's 4th of July celebration.
Isn't there like games like this? Like there's like settlers game. Like, there is like board games. We have to ask Patrick from. But there's board games where like you do that kind of thing where you start a country and you have to kind of figure out. But I'm just amazing me that how this like has lasted as long as it has, covered as much as it needed to, and the other part that is interesting is that like from my limited history, but like they didn't even realize what they had at that point as far as resources. They didn't even have all what is part of considered the U.S. now, but like they only had a couple hot spots at that point.
There's some colonies sitting along the coast.
Basically it was the East Coast only at that point, and it was like they had no idea what they were going to find when they started exploring the rest of this space that they just basically took over and said, it's ours now.
Right. Yeah, just kept claiming more ground.
I mean, I think the beauty of the beauty of what they did is they kept it simple. You know what I mean? Like realistically, when you look at it, there aren't that many rules, and that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean? Whether you, and it's honestly for me and how like my brain works, it's pretty easily to take it from the Constitution to the 10 Commandments, and it's the same idea. If you make 1,000 rules, well, now you need a lot of data. You need a lot of okay. Well, what happens if this? But if you keep it simple and you narrow it down and you just say like, here's the things that matter. It gets much simpler to. I'm not saying it's easy to write the document, but I'm saying you're just trying to deal with what is the most central to what you want it to be. Yeah. But the crazy part is we all interpret that document or interact with that document knowing that democracy exists, right? And when they wrote it, it didn't. So in other words, that's the crazy part. The crazy part is like if you looked at it and you said like, okay, you should have this freedom, this freedom, this freedom, this freedom. Like now we're like, yeah, of course. But at the point when they wrote it, nobody had those freedoms. No, like they were saying outrageous things. Right? Yeah, so, some of the things were purely outrageous. And then to negotiate in those times to a point where they could all agree to it, because you had wildly different, between you compare the South and their economy to the North and their economy. And you had people who were British, you had people who were not British. You know what I mean? You had a lot of different people that all of a sudden got together and enough of them agreed in a room. Enough rich white guys could agree in a room. This is how we should write it. It's pretty crazy that it worked, and then we managed to stick to it.
Well, that, and then you think about like we was like talking about the men who built America and like how like back then like people that were probably part of the writers like, oh, give them the state of Pennsylvania. We have no use for this land. Let's go ahead and give it to William Penn, or you know what I mean? Like that kind of was how
you can just manage that.
Yeah, you just take that rectangle over there with a couple little bumps, and that's going to be your space.
I mean, the funny thing, like you guys, but people probably don't realize it. Like actually, I have a degree in history, right? In other words, I don't know why I have that, but that's what I got. It was easy. I could pass all the classes, got me my degree. But like the original charter doesn't stop for Pennsylvania. Like it doesn't say it stops at any point. Now, technically, as
it was everything written, south of.
No, it was everything west. The top and bottom line were set, and the Delaware River was set because of Jersey.
Right.
But nothing was set to the west. Like technically, Pennsülvania could run all the way to California.
Just like one
giant
across the middle of the country.
And then I mean, like Georgia was a debtor's colony. It's where they sent. It is. They didn't. Yeah. It wasn't a country built on wealthy people necessarily. You know what I mean? It was people who wanted to make a living, and I think it's still representative of that. Like at its core is still that thing that everybody's got a shot. You know what I mean? Clearly some people have advantages. You know what I mean? We are much more fortunate than many other people, each individually. You know what I mean? And I always say that for it. I know you and I talk about it with our girls. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That my girls are very fortunate. They don't realize what normal is probably. And they certainly don't have a full handle on what some people's normal daily life is of, whether it be food insecurity or house insecurity or job insecurity. They're not familiar with that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, everybody gets to the starting line and you get it, and then it's a race. You know what I mean? And if you can close the gap on the lead that some people have, there's nothing stopping you. You can be whatever you want to be in this country.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but when you get the data, and like we're saying, like, with the U.S., but like you get the data from other countries, and you realize that, like, whoever we would deem to be maybe the most unfortunate amongst us, still compared to other
could still be fortunate.
Yes, it really gets crazy to think about that, just because of the way money is controlled and different things. You're just like, really? Like that's, but it's a different. It's a different animal in that perspective.
It's still desirable, right?
Yes.
For some people who are not.
Yeah, if people come in, they spend a lot of time, effort, and however they get here, but they really want to, and it's always interesting to. There's some stat that if you're an immigrant, first generation immigrant, your parents came in, you are 7 times more likely to be successful than someone born here, just because. To them, the opportunity is so much more open than maybe someone that's used to it. To yeah, which is like eye-opening in its own right.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and how much so there's the one side of it that people outside of the U.S. appreciating once the people that desire to come here than appreciating the opportunity they're afforded. But there's a separate piece that's complete opposite from us that I was helping one of our friends, and she had gotten like a table on Facebook Marketplace, and I helped her to get it. And the people were moving from here back to Israel. And I almost couldn't fathom it. Like, and I talked to Aaron about it, I was like, they're moving back to Israel. And I was like, they're from there, but they've been here since they were like 17 years old, went to college here, went to grad school here, met, got married, had kids, lived on the main line. Like they were living in Marion Station. You know what I mean? Like they were doing well. And they were like, well, we're going to go home. And I was like, you do realize there's a war in Israel, Iran, the Middle East. And they were like, well, that's just normal for us. And I was like, and he was like, I know everybody like paints this picture. And he wasn't saying it wasn't bad.
Sure. Yeah.
He was saying it's normal.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And he didn't say like normal recently. His point was like,
no, forever.
My strife forever.
Right, my great grandparents dealt with this same struggle in a different way, but the same struggle. It's been a fight for 100 years, 200 years, whatever. And that's kind of crazy when you think about the stability that we have here, that we're afforded here, where, like, I don't know, a bad day for us is like it's going to be too hot. You know what I mean? Or like, I guess if it got really bad, like power would be a problem, and there'd be like a brownout, and you'd lose your air conditioner for an hour. You know what I mean? Like, we're very fortunate here, and I don't, at least for me, I never sleep on that. Like I'm never blind to the fact that I'm really lucky that I was born here and not somewhere else, in my opinion, because it afforded me a lot of opportunity, a lot of safety, a lot of comfort, and just the ability to just exist and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
Well, one thing too is that we've all lived through 9/11 and stuff, and like all of a sudden after that, there's a swell of like patriotism, which seems to be people come together at certain times, but it's also nice to see people just being patriotic when there isn't a not a reason.
There isn't a rallying call.
Yeah, there's not a rallying call. There's not like, oh, well, this happened, so we got to all like.
Yeah. It's to for the sake of celebrating, not for the sake of
unifying against something. Yeah. Well, and you know what other sporting thing I'm excited about? I am excited about the All-Star game. I think that could be. They could do that real big, the All-Star game in Philly, if they want to. You know what I mean? Because the Phillies already. I mean, you got the Liberty Bell sitting. You know what I mean? Like it's just. It could be real interesting. That could be a nice centerpiece for them of that, because that's there's nothing more American. I mean, I love football, but there's nothing more American than baseball. So that's interesting. The other interesting thing that I saw with World Cup was people talking. I've seen a bunch of signs that people have had different places and like posts and things that if you move everybody out of the way, if you get all the leaders out of the way, and you get all the I want to use one specific word, but the minutia out of the way, right? We all get along pretty well, actually. You know what I mean? It was like the realization that like you have all these people who wouldn't normally be here. You know what I mean? A whole stadium of Norwegians. When are you going to, statistically, that can't happen regularly. You know what I mean? And, like it doesn't matter. Pick the country. You know what I mean? Like Congo had lots of fans at their games. You know what I mean? Like people who wouldn't normally be here in my mind. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe it's that there's a lot of them that live here and we just don't realize it. I don't realize it, but and they're all, you're shoving them into a stadium and it's fine. And it's almost funny to me because you think, like the most obvious example is, think the Vet in like 1986 and you have the Cowboys. That's not going to go well. I don't care where the Cowboys fans are from. It's not going well. You know what I mean? And you can do that with a bunch of different teams. Take Philly and Pittsburgh in hockey, or you know what I mean? Like you can go to Canada with some of the Canadian, you know what I mean? Like take Detroit, back in the day, going into like those people didn't like each other.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And this is worlds of people in a different environment, and they're just.
Do you think it's also because it's a short time and they have a unifying thing?
I think
like
so.
If it was continuously like every week, it'd be a different because I mean
if it was
we've heard about the hooligans in other places. We've had our own there's not about where they are, but it's just a question of like okay. Because it was funny. A guy met a guy the other day and he from out of town, but he was also a Cowboys fan.
That's
sorry, Keith. But he's like, I went to a game and and he said even the cops were giving me a hassle and all this stuff, yada yada yada. And I was like, oh, how many years ago? He's like, oh, 3 years ago I went to a game. I was like, listen,
that's not a hassle.
This is baby games. And then when you were in the Vet, that was like a different.
Man, that was,
he's like, oh, I heard about they had like the jail and the whole deal, and I was like, oh, it was real. I saw some stuff.
Yeah, I saw some things there.
I was like, now it's all a bunch of country club people down there. I mean, it's just
it's gotten too expensive to get that out of control.
You know, even what used to be the 700 level isn't what it used to be as far as that, which is probably a good thing for certain factors. But no, it was just funny. He's like, oh, it was rough down there. I'm thinking to myself, like, you have no idea what rough looked like.
Well, and it was a different time. You know what I mean? Because like you take we talked about it. My parents used to take my mom. My dad would never go. He used to take us to the Mummers Parade, and that was a rough scene.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like now it's still a little bit rougher than that.
Still distinct to Philly, that's for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But it's things have changed.
Yeah, for sure.
But so it's about the Independence Day. It's about the Constitution. It's about the people doing it. But it's also about getting together with friends and family and just celebrating that we're here. Because if you just go do the thing you like in the place you like, well, then that's what it's about. Because
it's the freedoms.
It's the freedom to go do it.
Yeah, right. And that's it. The freedoms that have been afforded to us.
Yeah.
By a group of individuals who
didn't even know what they were really writing. They couldn't have possibly known what we would become. I
don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say if they had the vision to understand the lasting impact of what they were doing in those moments, but it certainly has afforded all of us a lot of opportunity and a lot of freedom that we would not have experienced otherwise.
The two funniest things I think of when I think of this 4th of July window is, one is the Mike Rowe special when he did one of his like podcast talk things, and he tells the story from the position of what happened to the people that signed that document, because it didn't go well for a lot of them. Before the war actually really got bad, England went and found the people that signed the original declaration, and some of them, their lives turned real fast because England wasn't having it. But the other one is, did you ever see the Saturday Night Live skit where they talk about the Constitution and they're writing it? And I forget, what is it? Is it Keenan? What's the kid's name that's on Saturday Night Live?
Kenan Thompson?
Kenan Thompson, yes. Kenan Thompson's in it, and he's like one of the patriots, and he just keeps trying to get him to talk about like racial equality. And they just jump from ridiculous thing to ridiculous. But instead of hitting all the good things that we did, they talk about that we're not going to use the metric system because that's stupid. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? And it is one of the funniest skits, because like they'll talk ridiculous and then it'll be like, but what about this? And he's like, yes, and we will not use the metric system. And he won't get to the topic. And that's the whole point of this skit. But it is one of the amazing things is that we've gotten here. I mean, because you think about the strife, you know what I mean, between whether it be the plight of women and, minorities, to be able to have a voice and have an impact and belong. It wasn't in the original document because it just wasn't.
Sure.
And so that's what's amazing about the document, is that because it was so tightly written, we allow the interpretation of it. And then that's the job of a whole.
We got a lot of people with shiny shoes that spend all day doing that.
I wish they'd do it less. Just leave the document alone. We can all figure it out by ourselves pretty easily.
Yeah. Right.
I think that's one thing too. Like, it's so interesting that I'm not saying there's groupthink, but there's like so much, especially depending on where you live, and like everybody kind of has similar values or similar ideas. And then you meet someone that has very different perspective on things, and you're like, at first you're like, what are they doing over there? And then you're like, that's the cool part, because they probably think, what are they doing over there? So that's kind of the interesting thing, you meet somebody maybe that lives in a more urban area or something else, and they're like, what are you guys doing out there in like, farm fields? It's like, what are you doing living on top of each other in a skyscraper? It's so there's space for everybody.
Well, and you can find your people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know that's, you went on your trip. Like, you get to see, this is a big country, you know what I mean? With a lot of different people in it. And while we might have been able to build a gas station and a pharmacy and a fast food joint on every corner, and it's still different. You go to places and they are different.
Well, and like, we're each kind of like the sum of our experiences, right? Yeah. So the more you experience, the more you figure out what you prefer.
Yeah.
And it kind of, it sort of influences how you see other things.
Yeah.
I was literally talking to a gentleman today, and I'm guessing he's in his late 40s, and he's like, I've never been west of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met many people, that people down in the city that literally hadn't been west of the Schuylkill. That's
hadn't been west of the city line.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just so interesting, because if you want to see more, you can. If you don't want to see more, and you're comfortable where you are, you just rock out however you want to do it.
Right. And like in what you've known too, right? Like, you know, like if you grew up in an area or in a family where it was like a normal experience to go to the beach or to take trips or whatever, then like
that's what you know.
That's what you know. And when you come across someone who like that wasn't their upbringing or their experience or their desire, it is a little bit shocking at times. You're like, really? You've never seen the ocean? Like,
yeah, we have.
But like you live in the middle of the country,
yeah.
You're probably
too long of a drive.
And it's not that far, right? But we have friends right now who are in from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And Ford knows them. And they have a gorgeous house. And some of their friends rented the bottom floor of their house. They're also from Pittsburgh, but they really don't go to the beach. And they're sitting in the house. The beach is visible from their porch. And they're like inside watching TV and the air conditioning. Like they're not, like they'll go to the beach for a very little bit and then they go back inside.
Sure.
And I'm like, what?
From a true beach person, that's like heart palpitating.
What is,
You're renting this space that some person that actually wants to be here.
Well, and then the kids, you know, and you know their kids. You know, their kids are like, well, we have friends over, and the mom's like, you can go, it's okay. Because like, she's like, I don't want you sitting in the house. Like, this is crazy. Like, go do something. You know, go enjoy that you're sitting on the coast.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, so but different people. You know what I mean? Whereas you probably put them in like a mountain. You know what I mean? Put them in one of the lakes outside of Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? They probably would never go in the house because that's their place.
Yeah.
We're jumping off the topic, but it is interesting. One thing I've learned is like, you know, the globe is 71% water, and like when you live out here where there's a couple little lakes, a couple little streams, but there's not that much water. You just don't like. That's not something that like, you can picture. No matter how many times you spin the globe around, it just doesn't realize that 71% is actually liquid. You're like, wow, that's crazy. Because if you don't see water a lot, you just kind of assume that everything's dirt or hills or mountains or something like that.
Yeah.
Happy 250th
250
episode on 250th 4th of July.
Happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day, folks. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope you come back for another episode.